Hello. Yes, I think the sound is lovely. Very good. Hello. It's a big storm here today, so I'm trying to cut out the banging of the doors outside. Okay. Now I've done my best to block out the banging. So hi guys, welcome to live stream. If this is your first time to live stream, then welcome. The way you ask questions is through Skype, which is Lisa Cairns 12. So you can befriend me on Skype and send me a question, or you can call in. If you want to call in through Skype, make sure beforehand that you've tested your audio, that you have a headset with a microphone. So you can just use your Apple one if you've got Apple, or just a basic one like this is good enough with a microphone in it, and that you've tested it and you make sure it works. And when I call you, I'm going to be speaking to you through Skype, not through YouTube. So just be aware of that, but I'll lead you through that if you're confused. So please don't call in hope that it will work. Please make sure you've tested it beforehand, or that you've used it recently. If you want to come to an event that I'm doing, the next event I'm doing is at the end of April, and that is for Easter, and that is not the end of April, the end of March. The last week in March is Easter, and I can't remember what date that is. I think it's the 28th of March. That's in the south of Spain, which should be lovely then, although I can't guarantee the weather. This universe is a world of miracles. This universe is a world of infinite possibilities. This universe isn't against you. It is you. It's love. And when you don't see it as love, it's merely because you're living in an illusion. You haven't seen the way that life is. You believe what you were told by your parents, by society, which is also you. You've agreed to sleep, to dream. You agreed to pretend. And you also didn't agree. Just like your dream at night, they happen. And there's total involvement in that dream, believing it to be real. And then when you wake up, you're like, wow, it was just a dream. And that's what this life is like. You're dreaming to be that body. You're dreaming to be a person. You're dreaming to be unhappy, because it does seem that the majority of people that believe they're real and believe they're somebody are unhappy. And you're dreaming about other people and how they've done something to you, how they've hurt you, how they're bad, how you're victim to them. And you're forgetting the infinite possibility and the miracle, the infinite miracle of this world that makes absolutely no sense on the intellectual level. Like, you can't find the sense on the intellectual level. It makes sense relatively, but you can't find the reason why it's happening on that level. And it's right here. What you seek is right here. What you seek is what's happening. As Rumi would say, it's the breath inside the breath. No, that's not Rumi, that's Kabir. The breath inside the breath. The silence inside the sound. The stillness inside the movement. It's right here. It's what you are. And you try to listen with your mind, but your mind's not listening. Your mind's never listened. Your thoughts, your thinking mind has only ever interpreted. Who is it that's aware of that mind? Who is it that's aware of my voice? Who is it that's experiencing this reality? A name, a person, someone that comes and goes, someone that likes things or doesn't like things? Or is that person being experienced? Is that person another part of this dream? I can't answer these questions for you. It's not my responsibility to. It's not my fault if you don't hear this. It's not my job to make you hear it. I offer the water and it's either drunk or it's not. I offer the truth and it's either heard or it isn't. Most people are stuck in the personal realm because in the personal realm they're trying to find the perfect experience, the perfect lover, the perfect home, the perfect situation, the perfect feelings. They're battling with what's happening because they're trying to make it into something they imagine. And predominantly, what I notice about a lot of Western people is they want to play the card of child. They want to play the card of victim, of not standing up to anything. People are afraid that if they do something, they'll be blamed. If they do something, they'll be guilty. If they do something, they'll fail. So a lot of people in the West are in this victim role of feeling like a slave to their job, slave to their family, slave to their circumstance, slave to their emotion. And they think it's something else that's hurt them. It's illusion's fault. It's the family, the society's fault. But how can it be that fault when all of it is your dream? Not your dream as the person, because the person's part of the dream, but your dream as consciousness. It's like you dreaming a dream at night, and the character inside the dream blaming the dream for its unhappiness. And yeah, there can be horrors in that dream, there can be beauties in that dream, but that person's happiness is down to what the dreamer dreams. And it's all related. It's so infinitely complicated and infinitely beautiful. So when I speak, or when you interact in life, you have certain emotions, certain reactions. And then the energy just keeps looking to the emotions to find freedom. So say if when I speak about it's your dream, you feel guilty, you feel like you've done something wrong, and there's a feeling of guilt that arises. And guilt can often be in the solar plexus or in the heart area. It can be all over, but say if it's in those areas and you feel this sensation of guilt and you want to get rid of it, so you try to look for reasons as to why you're not guilty, or why someone else is guilty, or what someone did to you, or etc. Like all these different things all found in the flow, and you're trying to get rid of the feeling. And there's no freedom in that world. Like you can relax the person by staying with the feeling and seeing it's not true. But the freedom is remembering that you are that which is watching that person that's trying to escape its guilt. And inside the dream is always moving, and there'll be pleasure and there'll be pain. There'll be things you like and things you don't like. But your freedom is in your bum on the seat, is in the air in the room, is in the sounds, is in the sight. It's in what's happening. It's in that nobody's looking at this, nobody's having an experience. When somebody's having an experience, it's a world of suffering. There is simply life happening, and that's who you are. And that's not disempowering, that's your interpretation. Life is the most powerful thing there is. Look, it's here. It's right here. It's totally exciting. It's totally fresh, and it's totally full of infinite possibilities. And you're not in relationship to it. There is a character that comes up that thinks in opposite, so it thinks it's in relationship to it, but that's not you. That's a functioning happening in who you are. And life has two sides to it. It's full, it's everything, it's beingness, it's appearance, and it's non-appearance. It's nothing. You can call it many different creative ways, whatever resonates. I often use the empty looking and the I am. The empty looking and the alive presence that's here. And everything you think isn't true. Everything you think is true in this moment as to what you feel and what you think, but it isn't ultimately true. We're so stuck in our thoughts, believing they're true and they're real and what someone's done to us and what's happening. It's so exciting. This is it, baby. This is it, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. So right now, what's looking out of your eyes? You're looking at me, but who is looking at me? Who's looking? A thought? How can a thought look? Isn't that thought being looked at? So a feeling, so maybe you're feeling love in your chest, but is that is that love or that feeling in your chest experiencing, or is it being experienced? And how big is that person that's experienced? Where do you experiencing? Where do you start and stop? Where do you begin and end? Hi Lisa, happy to be here. Such a joy to see you and David Hoffmeister joined in Strawberry. Did not know you were connected, like life bringing everything together. Yes, I love David, he's beautiful. Hi Zinip. Hello Lisa, how are you? I'd like to talk about something. I've been suffering a lot lately. I've been hurt by someone that I really love and care a lot about, and it feels really painful. But I still don't know if I can allow myself to feel that way. I'm constantly thinking, is it me who's hurt, or is it my ego, what I've never really hurt? What if the nature of what I am in the core cannot be hurt? What if it's all in my head? All this suffering is an illusion? I don't know. I feel confused. So what has to be recognized is that who you are is presence. Continuously recognized that you're not that character, and presence cannot be hurt. And what is presence? This alive presence. It's this empty looking, this vastness, this infinite, and this sense of being, this sense that this is. And the sense of being is love, absolute love, fullness, completion. And the empty looking is empty, that nothing is affected, nothing's touched. And this has to be seen, but it's not the person that sees it, because the person is seen. So that one that says, oh, how do I see it? That's being watched, that's being seen. Everything you think yourself to be, your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your resentment, everything is being experienced, and it comes and goes. Your timeline, your story, what you want, what you don't want. And when that is recognized, then, or well, it's being recognized, then there can be an addressing of the person. Because the person has built so many lies. It first of all got taught that it existed separately, and that it's a small person inside this body separate from life, and that one day life is going to eat it and destroy it, and that it's got to be certain ways. Like even the idea that of money is like a limiting idea. Like there's so many ideas that the person has taken on based on the idea that you exist separately, and all the wants and the natural urges of that person, of that body mind, have been suppressed and been pushed down in the idea of this illusory person, this name, this person that your environment kept telling you you were, what your parents kept telling you were, what your education kept telling you were. And then you have these natural thoughts and feelings, and they are no longer conscious anymore. A lot of them have been pushed into the unconscious. So then you need to begin to understand and fall back in love with the human on the human level, and understand it, get to know it, not reject it, accept all parts of it, accept the animal part of it, the loving part of it, the compassionate part of it, the intelligent part of it, the sexual part of it, all different aspects. And as you begin to get to know and accept yourself, like really explore and accept yourself, you also begin to release your natural urges and wants. Or there begins to be a seeing of these natural urges and wants. And as they begin to be released, like the natural ones, then life begins to line up. Life stops being so overwhelming and confusing and not knowing what to do. a natural flow begins to take place on the human level. So first of all, the recognition that you are this alive presence, you are this moment, you are life. You are absolutely powerful. You're not some victim, some small person in relationship to life. You are the experiencer of this life, and the experiencer isn't separate from anything. The experience. So who am I talking to now? Who's listening to my voice? Who walked into this room? Who walks out of this room? There's a belief that it's you, and you believe that you're walking in and around life, and that you can come and go in time, but you can't. It's always the timeless, and the you comes and goes in the timeless. That's confusing to say. Thanks, Sinba. Hey, Lisa, can't sleep. Just tuned in. Nice to see you, Steve. Oh, I don't know if I saw that letter. I just see it now. Or maybe I did. Sometimes I get so many messages. Ah, so it's good that you just wrote, because I saw it then. I'll read that afterwards. I hope. Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Eric. Have you had your tea yet? I always have tea. I love my tea. I have one as soon as I wake up. Well, after I've had my lemon juice. Hey, Lisa. I love all the routines of life. So beautiful, grace and truth. Love your words, Lisa. Thanks, Thomas. It's all there is, the here and the now. Nothing else matters on the deepest level. Let's talk about a song by a 90s band, Salt and Pepper, right? Let's talk about love, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Hey, Chris, beautiful. Your energy is so lovely. I keep listening to you and feel that love of yours, such beauty. Example, you are of grace into my reality. You're making me feel connected to this big love. I can just feel thankful and happy that you are and doing this for me and all of us. I'm sure many of us feel this way. I'm sure many of feel you. Thanks, beauty. Thanks, Chris. That was all the questions tonight. If anyone would like to call in, just let me know. Remember to test your Skype beforehand. Hi Lisa, it's a gush from India. I listened to you last Sunday. You talked about how the self came into being sometime after a baby is born. You also talked about confronting and escaping oneself. I took a piece of paper and started writing about my character traits as they came to mind. I suddenly realized that the self was not something to which the traits belonged, but were presupposed into it. In fact, the character story I was writing was really of no one. Is there no one? Is this no one the live presence one remembers, or is it awakened to? Is this no one the live presence one remembers, or is it awakened to? I'm not sure what you mean by that question. Hi Lisa, I would like to call you if possible. My question is about the way to move in life from the space of emptiness and to learn to recognize when ego is coming in the way. Sure, have you, is your microphone and your, if you got, a headset and microphone? If you have, then cool. Let's talk. Hey! Hello?
Hi.
Hey, could I just ask you to turn off your video just because I want to
Yes.
not use my internet as much.
Yes, I just turned it off.
Thanks.
Uh, but I can't see you for now.
Yeah, you can't see me, but could you turn your video off, like the video of you?
Oh, okay. My not the YouTube video.
No,
My
yeah. Yeah, sorry, you can keep the YouTube video on, just your video.
yes. So like that.
Thank you, yeah. Yeah. Even
Perfect.
if you watch the YouTube video, it's like a couple of seconds behind anyway. So it's always a bit out of time.
Okay, great.
But you can put it on if you want.
I'm
Nice.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Thank you for answering my call.
With pleasure.
And yes, in the my question, like I told you in my when I write you,
Yeah.
is like I can feel like when I dive in, I can feel space and recognize my true nature, and
Yeah.
it is more and more clear in a way, and in other way, more and more humbling because I see um, a lot more of identification through this, like more core identification, if it's a good way to put it. And I guess that what I'm trying to say through it is that I see that sometimes I feel like life is guiding me, and other times I can feel that like root no in my gut or in my whole body. I don't know if I'm clear, but yes, does it make sense to you? Like, is it clear what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I would just like to maybe look with you, or I don't know how we can do it, but just to see how to really follow, because I really feel that my heart sing for um, how to say it. Sorry, my I have a bit of difficulty in English, so I'm searching my word.
Yeah. No,
Um,
you're doing a great job.
okay, thank you. um, like it's been almost 2 years that I'm that like almost got into retreat out of the world and just breathing and feeling life and listening satsangs, and my heart is really touched by those moments that
Yeah.
I can be in communion with this, and it's really yes, it's the most beautiful things. But I feel to a moment I feel to that it's not really that it's not by going out of the world that it's gonna be fully integrated, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And yes, I find, but I see that find it a bit difficult to move from there always. Like, mm,
So, what is it you'd like more of? So, notice that the person, the thoughts always want more or less of something, and identifying what you want more of or what you want less of is super important. So, what is it that you want more of? And it doesn't matter how much you judge that to be superficial or super spiritual, it doesn't matter because everything's super spiritual.
mm, yes, and I guess that's why I called you, because since I'm going back more in the world, I feel like going into, like I'm starting back to go into martial arts and everything that is very more, I don't know how to say it, but I can see that there's some judgments through it. Like, yes, I can feel judgment. And in another way, I very love those things, and that's where I find some um, that there's some collide, like there's a part of me that just act, it's just natural things unfolding, and there's another part that is just judging them. And I guess that what I would like is to just um, fully embrace it without judgment.
So, more than likely, the reason that the judgment is coming up is because there's something out of line, there's something not in flow.
Mm.
So, when the judgments are coming up, what type of thoughts are they saying? Like, if you think of a particular circumstance,
Um, Sometimes I can hear them, and sometimes it's more, I guess, it's more based on my past experience. Like, as I said, I was totally in retreat meditating, and now I'm going back into martial arts and everything that I've put out of my life to go on a so-called spiritual path.
Yeah.
But the um, the true recognition that goes out of that spiritual retreat, let's say, is that nothing is not spiritual, but I see that it's not really deeply integrated, but because I can see judgments coming out. Sometimes it's um, um, sorry, it's just that by speaking I can myself see more stuff. So I just take a moment.
Yeah, sure.
I guess that what I can see is that there's just a some judgment about my humanity that was not um, really going on in my retreat. Like I was most of the time alone and put everything that I loved aside just for that, and it was okay. Um, it was a part of my learning, but yeah, it's just a judgment about my human part.
That is what type of judgments? Like about
It's
your
basically
physicality?
yes, a part of it. It's yes, a good part of it, I would say, because like I told before, I got back into martial arts and even weightlifting and very regular stuff, you know. And but my human part really loved those things. It's just there's just pleasure every time. So that's a bit weird because it's very natural. And another time there's always some feedback that is like what you're doing, and I know that is not true. So that's why I want to go deeper and see why is there some that voice.
So the judgment is saying, why are you enjoying martial arts?
Yes, it's just like it feels like it don't fits, or I can see that my girlfriend have difficulty with it, so it challenged me to assume that too.
Your, your,
She
your girlfriend has difficulty with martial arts.
that I do that now, yes, because when we meet each other, I was only listening satsang and was a very quiet guy, and I'm still a very quiet guy. I don't feel very different, but I feel that more my it's more a feeling way to say it, but it's like my root or my core is want to express. I don't know if it sounds if it makes sense to say it like this, but
Yeah.
you know, like since when I was young, it was really something that I loved to do. Like martial arts was almost my spiritual path, if I can say it like this. And it was my I I would try to do story short, but my dad initiated me in martial arts, and he died a few years after, and it's it makes me stop martial arts and moves a lot, and a lot of stuff happened in my life. But yeah, I remember that when I was young, no concept was passing through my mind about what is spirituality. It was just a deep sense, uh, like a profound respect for everything. It was how I was putting it in that way when I was younger, but I feel it coming back through it as yes.
Yeah. So in do you feel like you have to justify it to yourself as to why you do it?
Yes, definitely.
So there's a part of you that feels that it's unspiritual
Yes,
to
yes,
do martial arts.
yes.
So this is the part which causes the conflict. So this is the part that's out of line. So why
Hmm.
would you think that martial arts is unspiritual?
Um, like I said, it's a bit strange because when I was young, it felt like it's definitely a spiritual path for me without knowing anything about spirituality. It was just the only place when I feel truly present and
Yeah,
safe.
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and sorry, uh, but now I don't know why, but I can see that I have difficulty when it comes to hurt people. It's never the goal through martial arts, but sometimes I it happens, and I feel really bad when it happens.
To hurt someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel bad because you think other people will think you're bad, or because you feel empathy for the other person?
Um, no, because I remember that one time a guy really um, I don't know what to he criticized me because I hurt someone without intention. It was really not my intention, but the guy was like um, deeply frustrated about it. And yeah, it's more about because I think that people would believe that I'm bad. Yes.
People will believe that you're bad.
Yeah.
So this is the issue that you need to work on, is that people
Mm.
will believe you're bad. What's wrong with people thinking and believing that you're bad?
Like right now, what is going out is like it will put me isolated. Like nobody would like to be with me because I have because I can see that when I really listen to myself, it's really people are reacting. And when I listen to myself, I would do martial arts, and I could really do. I really have care for my partner, but sometimes it happens that we hurt each other and things like that. And
Yeah. And what happens to you if you're alone? people don't support your version of reality.
And I think that it leads me to death. You know, the belief that I will die.
Yeah. And what is death to you? What's your imagination of death?
I don't know why, but mm, there's the feeling that I'm gonna suffer like for a long time before I will die. I don't know why, but that that's what's there.
So this is the stream of why the judgments are coming up. This is the line of it. It's always the way. Like our surface issues are never our surface issues. There's always something unconscious which is knocking at the door.
Mm.
So why? So where do you think? So maybe you could investigate when you're alone as to where you think that you'll suffer a lot before you die. Like where you got this idea that the universe is, or life is unfriendly, that it's going to make you suffer. And this can sometimes come not just from your idea of death, but it could have come from a relationship, it could have been something you experienced. Like this is, and so what happens very quickly is when somebody criticizes you for doing martial arts, you're not conscious of it maybe in that moment, but it just feels like overload, like you feel an uncomfortable feeling in your belly when they criticize you, and then judgments begin to come up. But what's happening in your body is your body is actually being triggered into that fear that you'll suffer loads. Like it goes back to these feelings, and this is the same with lots of interactions, and this is what happens. We recognize who we are, this free presence, and then it's like the body takes time to settle down, to stop seeking. So when we have these unconscious wants and unconscious desires, then our body on the human level seeks to avoid it. So you seek to avoid that feeling. So what will most probably be happening is your mind keeps trying to justify why it's okay for you to do martial arts. And of course it's okay for you to do martial arts. I think it's beautiful, and I think that it's a really healthy thing to do. I'm not saying hurt people, but the energy of it, to make yourself strong on the physical level, to put your attention into something which is about focusing on what you're doing physically. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. But what's happening in you is you've made associations with it, which you might find that are coming up in other parts of your life when people disagree with you in other areas of your life. And so it begins to stop your flow, and this is when we begin to get these blocks in our chakra system, and our body begins to feel uncomfortable, and we just slowly have to unpick it, and we have to see what the body wants. And it seems like your body wants to practice martial arts, but what's blocking it is this idea that deep down you're not allowed to, because people will reject you, and then this fear of death comes up, and the fear of suffering around it. It's so complicated. It's amazing the way that we work. So you just need to give that tension. So when it's happening again and you're beginning to judge yourself, just quickly try to drop down to the base feeling that you're feeling. Acknowledge it, and acknowledge it's not true, and that life isn't against you, because you are life. You are the life that you're experiencing. You are that conscious presence. And you're not against yourself. It's all ideas that you're against yourself. It's all ideas that you've got this future where you're going to suffer. How does that make you feel hearing that? What's happening inside of you now?
Hmm. It made me cry a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel a lot of release.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, especially when you said that you're that there's no life against me because I'm life.
Yeah. Totally. You are that
Yes,
life. You've not got some monster in the future that's going to get you. This isn't true. This is Maya. Like you're always going into yourself, which is love.
yes, and I can even see that even if, and I don't say that this is what I feel right now, but even if it is death that is awaiting, like I don't know it, and it's awaiting 2 years from now, it can only be me again,
Yeah.
and it can only be right.
Yeah.
And sorry,
Yeah.
I guess that what is what is behind this is probably the death of my own father when, yeah, because his death was quite um suffering for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we was we was really close. So, and martial arts was definitely our shared um, activities.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect all of that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And we don't know your father's story, and we can't look from the bigger perspective to understand the complexity of your father's story. But even if there was that suffering prior to death, even if it was very painful, we don't know what it was like to be inside of him. But if it was very painful, like ultimately he's coming back to himself, so he's coming back to love. So even in the pain at the end, there was a dissolving back into love. Like he didn't die alone. That's our imagination, and that's the worst imagination that we have around death, is that we die alone, that we die suffering, abandoned, and we disappear and we die alone. But you can't die alone, because we're all held in life, which is who we actually are. We're just having the experience of an element of ourself, of a limitation. He wasn't that form. But in that particular form, it had to have a painful death or a suffering death, because we don't know the reasons why. We can't see, we can't see the bird's eye perspective of it. I think it sounds beautiful that you're embracing the martial arts again. It's like an element of you is coming to peace with that story.
Yes, that's what that's what I feel too. And for me, what really touched me when I hear you speaking or anyone speaking, it's where's that full embrace of anything.
Yeah,
Even that situation that
yeah,
when I was a young boy, I found so devastating at that age.
yeah,
I I'm so grateful because deep inside of me, I just want to be at peace with everything,
yeah,
even
yeah,
those things that can seem so difficult because I know that I'm really not the only one to have difficult
yeah,
life, and there's even worse than that. So to have the compassion to welcome all of that's what really touched me the most. And
yeah. And really, and after this conversation, I would write down that's your desire, because your desire is to be at peace with it, which your true nature is at peace with it. It's just that the energy of the person, or the energy, is focused on the wrong part, or focuses on the wrong part. So all you have to do is write down that intention, and it will happen.
mm,
When it's a true intention, when it's what's wanted, because it's what life's wants, it's not what you want. And when that really comes through, so when it's really acknowledged that's what's wanted, the body and the energy will move in that direction. It's already been happening. I mean, look at the place you're at now. So it's
yeah,
already, even if you weren't totally conscious of that's what you want, that the body, there was a part of it that was conscious of it, so the body was moving in that direction.
yeah, even if there was some judgments and doubts and my girlfriend um, judgment too, I that's what happened anyway.
Yeah.
So
And your girlfriend's judgment, in a way, because it's all your mind, is a dynamic of yourself which is rejecting it, if you can
yeah.
understand what I mean. Because when you're ready, your energy will stop the girlfriend's judgment. Not saying that you will tell her to shut up, but there will just be a movement away from that judgment. When you are ready, when you still doubt yourself, you'll keep it there. You'll allow her to keep having it, or you'll allow that to keep happening.
Yeah, when I hear her, it was clear for me that it was just a reflect of my own doubt that I was putting it a bit in the corner because my the call inside was so strong that I don't want it all those things to um, put
Yeah,
interference, but it was there at the backstage anyway, so that's why I wanted to
yeah,
open it with you, and
yeah,
I really appreciate
yeah. I can really feel that. It's beautiful. And I think so many people will be grateful that you shared that, because you went to, it was very clear, it was very clear, that realization that you just went through, or that seeing you just went through. for other people
Yeah,
to recognize it in themselves, in their dynamics.
I really hope that everyone can benefit from it because it's really liberating.
Yeah, nice. So my advice would just be to just recognize it when this stuff comes up in the coming weeks, and after this talk, so after we finish, just really let those tears come, because they say, and what I realized from my experience, that when you cry or when you laugh, there's a change happening in your system, like your system is releasing something. So just really let it come. Sometimes after you have a release as well, you might fall asleep. So the body then shuts down and reprograms.
That's okay. I'll allow everything to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing yourself and being so vulnerable and trusting. That was really, really beautiful.
It's totally my pleasure.
Yeah.
And really, I really thank you for your presence.
Oh, with pleasure. I send you lots of love.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Really touches me how willing people are to open their hearts, because by Vincent doing that, he allowed all of you to see your own processes. It's so clear when you watch someone else. It's what is it, the famous saying, it's easy to see a speck of dust in someone else's eye, but impossible to see the rock in ours. Is that how you say it? So it's easier to see other people's dynamics than it is to see our own dynamics. I forget the saying. I need to write down quotes while I'm doing talks because I always forget them. Or I just need to believe that I will remember them. Because most probably people wouldn't even notice if I get it wrong. I'm a little bit cold. I'm just going to turn my radiators up. Hi, Lisa. Is there any sign in a body then yours wants are truly yours? Hi, is there any sign in a body that your wants are truly yours? Butterflies in the stomach, maybe? I condemn most of my thoughts. It's like I can write a thing to you, determine it as useless and meaningless and discard it. This one passed though. Hi, Sergey. It's hard for me to. Oh, cold. It's freezing here at the moment, and as the sun went down, it suddenly got very cold in my apartment. I would say it's hard to say because I don't know who you are, but you just have to begin to meditate or explore your body, get to know your body. So meditate, do meditations where you begin to understand the chakra system and what your body's saying. Like not just what your thoughts are saying. A lot of people are just focused on what they think and their interpretation. I used to do a lot of Vipassana meditation when I was younger, which is body meditation. I do some meditation class, you can find it on my website, and just begin to learn to see what your body's saying. And when you begin to understand your body, you'll begin to understand what it's asking for and what it's wanting, and begin to understand the subconscious of the personality, like what the subconscious is saying. So get to know your body and your feelings. A lot of people just live up in their brain, in their interpretation, and your interpretation, your conscious interpretation, is normally based on what other people have told you and the way that other people have responded to you. It's like you have to reclaim something. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but don't consider the beam that is in your own eye? Oh, is that the saying? Yeah, that sounds better. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but you don't consider the beam that's in your eye? This was the most gentle, loving, honest, caring guidance I have ever seen and felt from a teacher. Blessing, Lisa. Respect. Thanks, Chris. Thanks. Yeah, I have to say, even by giving myself feedback, that I'm beginning to understand the personality structure so much better. Like, it's one thing understanding your own personality structure, but then understanding all the different personality structures that are out there. And through understanding it better, it helps me guide people. But it's something that I've been learning from teaching. It's been such a gift teaching. I've learned so much about other people and how they function and how they work. So thank you for that feedback, Chris. Hi, Susan. It was so beautiful to hear this man express his true emotions. There's no need to apologize for tears. The tears are the way. God bless. Oh, thanks, Susan. Yeah, that was really beautiful, Vincent. I knew people would be really thankful to you. Hello, Lisa. I'm not sure which one of your sessions to sign up for, non-duality versus self-exploration. Can we decide during the call? Yeah, sure, we can. The reason that I line it out is to help people understand what it is they want before the session, but if you don't know, then that's okay too. Hey Lewis. I know, Lisa, it's super cold over all of Europe at the moment. -7 here now. Oh yeah? Hey Edmond. Yeah, I started to cry myself. It recalled my father when he died. Yeah. I've in my short or long life, dependent if you're younger or older than me. If you're younger, you'll think I'm old. If you're older than me, you'll think I'm young. I'm actually middle-aged. Sort of. Depends if you see the end of life as 80 or 100. Or middle-aged for the 80. So I've seen a few deaths now, like most people my age, a few close people's death. I grew up with my gran and I watched her die. And my friend, they're the two that I was really close to. My friend died when I lived in Australia, my next door neighbour. And those two I was really close to and very much involved in their care while they were dying. And I have to say, like I say this, and I've also had lots of dogs die. That's most probably slightly different. Sounds amazing. It's kombucha. But it's super fizzy kombucha. It's French style kombucha. So what I was saying about death is, I have to say, from my experience, when my dogs have died, their death wasn't so bad because we put them down at a point. So we gave them euthanasia at a point. So one of my dogs had kidney failure, I think, or so I can't remember which one it was, maybe liver. And so she began to express a lot of pain and we had her put down. Another one with the cancer, we had her put down. Actually, they're the two dogs that I've had put down. I've had other dogs, but I didn't do that. And then my friend and my gran, and with the humans, because we don't have a euthanasia in the countries that I was in some countries they do. I don't know if they call it euthanasia. But then it tends to be towards the end sometimes a little not so pleasant to watch. But a lot of the time with my gran and with my friend, they were unconscious of it. Or there was no consciousness. But I think the most horrifying thing for the person to watch and think, which I had for my gran but I didn't have for my friend, is the idea that they're dying alone, that they're being kicked out of life, and that's your own projection onto the situation, that they're alone and they're being kicked out of life. Actually, what's happening in death is they're actually being re-embraced by themselves, so that the limited self is going back into the unlimited mystery, which is love. So even though from the mind perspective it's imagining that person's being abandoned, and even if you're seeing them in a lot of pain, they're actually going back into this infinite love that's all that's ever wanted. Like no one's ever being abandoned. It's actually the end of the sufferings of this world, of this apparent dualistic world. So on that regard, it's not like the human imagines it. I think that's the worst part of death. The physical pain stuff is hard to watch, people being in lots of physical pain. But I think the hardest part from the human perspective is imagining that they're being lost somewhere, that they're being abandoned. And that's not true. They're going home if they're still separate. We have this negative look on death in our society because we can't imagine what it is. So we imagine it as this being kicked out of life, but you're actually being re-embraced into the infinite. And it's not this negative thing, that's something society's taught you. And that's actually, we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, the unconscious, like the shadow side, and that our society, because our society refuses to acknowledge death and deal with death, what it does is it goes into our subconscious, so we repress it and it haunts us. This shadow, we're not conscious of it, but it haunts us, that we've got this bad place that we're going to, that death is this bad place that contains abandonment and loss. And it's not like that at all. It is the loss of the physical form, but you're never lost. I don't know if that makes sense. And if there is anyone out there that is going through the death of someone, there was a beautiful book that I read that talks to you about what death is, and maybe everyone should read it. I have to go and get it off my iPhone. The name. So the book is called, I can't bring my phone to the microphone, otherwise it ticks, but the book is called With the End in Mind. With the End in Mind. And the good thing about this book is it talks about death. So the lady is a palliative care doctor, and she's a palliative care doctor. It's a true story. It's like a memoir. She's a palliative care doctor for 40 years, and basically what she does is she just recalls stories of being a palliative care nurse. And it just gives you an insight into this big world that we push away. And she just talks about many stories of people dying and what that process is like. And then it's not just this unknown, hidden process. It's something where you begin to learn the signs and you begin to understand it better. So I'd recommend it to anyone, this book. It's called With the End in Mind. I can't remember the lady's name. I just had to focus on one when I went to look at my phone, either her name or the name of the book. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's a lot for today. Thank you so much, Vincent, for calling in. And thank you, everybody, for asking questions. It's such a joy to express with you. And we can talk again on Sunday at 6 p.m. French time. Lots of love. Bye.